Story 1. Switching from self-deprecating jokes to self-aggrandizing jokes. Example. If I make a mistake, instead of saying, "I'm so stupid," I say, "I'm the greatest, let's go." Sounds silly, but it has done wonders for me. Story 2. I am moving house, so I no longer live near the high school where I was mercilessly bullied. This experience marked the beginning of my mental illnesses. Not having those reminders around me every time I leave the house is immensely helpful. Story 3. Ooh, this is a good one. Removing as many sources of stress as possible from my life. People like to stress themselves out. Upward mobility, always trying for job promotions, always trying to get more money, more dates, more friends, more activities, more time. They like to fill up their schedule, load up their budget, max out their efficiency. Forget all that. I'm happy with a job that makes good money and gives me peace of mind. I'm happy living in a place that is subpar and doesn't require a lot of maintenance or upkeep. I don't need to go out and do things every day. I don't need to be constantly fishing for a promotion or chasing dates. I'm perfectly happy saving money and investing. Time off is great. Story 4. Deleting Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Also, doing a short 10-minute workout in the morning helps more than you know. Story 5. Literally touching grass. Being outside in the sun and regularly engaging in activities like gardening or golfing is very beneficial for mental health. Just get out of your dark room, stop playing social or video games, and go stand in the sun. Story 6. Regular sleep, better nutrition, and consistent exercise are important. Changing locations and changing jobs are probably key factors. They helped me maintain the other 3 habits because I now had the time and energy to do them. Story 7. I stopped valuing myself based on how others treat me. I cannot tell you when or why it clicked for me, but realizing that whatever someone says about you is only a reflection of them made dealing with people much easier for someone who is somewhat introverted. I do not necessarily stop caring about what people say or think, but I relate it more to them than to myself. Story 8. Not giving a care in the truest, most peaceful way possible. I am at complete peace when things are terrible. In the last year, I have had multiple people die around me, betrayal by my best friend of 25 years, and my business was robbed of everything it had, forcing me to start over from scratch. People see me upbeat at work. They say things like, "I don't know how you're taking this so well. I'd be wrecked." And I simply reply, "What other direction is there to go? I can only move forward, go up, get to tomorrow. There is no point in sitting in the past with sorrow and pain. I have done that before and I have no time for it now." Story 9. Setting boundaries with everyone in my life, saying no, walking away, letting go of shame, practicing yoga, and maintaining a small circle of friends. Story 10. Stopped chasing people. If they wanted you around, they would. It stopped the pain of not being included. Maturity is realizing these friendships and relationships do not matter. Story 11. 1. Cutting ties with my extremely toxic family. Divorcing an extremely toxic wife. Deactivating most social media accounts. Reddit is the only one I have. Not caring about things I cannot control. Story 12. Being more engaged with society in my day-to-day life and disengaged from social media. When I have the choice between driving and public transportation, I take public transportation. I pick up my takeout orders when I get them, but I try to put in the effort to cook. Even if it is an unhealthy meal, engaging with the process from start to finish has really helped me break out of the doomscroll autopilot I sank into during lockdown. If I need new jeans, I take the train into the city and go shopping myself rather than clicking away at a laptop. I have tried reading more and taking myself out to a cafe or public space when I do. I limit how much time I spend sitting on my bed and use the other rooms of my house more. I try to find out about local markets and other events and go. A cafe near me has a new seasonal item. I try it. Even if I end up liking it less than my usual order, it is still a new experience to break the monotony. Story 13. Deleting people I barely know from my social media. That includes former classmates I no longer talk to, and especially coworkers, which is a big no-no. I used to be anxious about having so few followers and friends on Instagram and Facebook because I did not want it to seem like I was a nobody whom nobody knew. I accepted anyone who randomly added me, even though it made me uncomfortable since my accounts are private. Then I started getting anxious about posting anything because I did not know these people well enough and did not want to be judged. So I felt like I was putting up an act and eventually became self-conscious. I woke up one morning and cleared all my social media accounts from the prying eyes of those I am not close to, and it felt like a load off my chest. My time online is no longer performative, and I can finally be myself and share my life only with those I know and trust. Surprisingly, that made me spend less time online than before too. Win-win situation. Story 14. Getting an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder diagnosis at 43. I used to think I was a bad person because I struggled with things that other adults did without issue. Story 15. Getting removed from the politics forum by moderators. I did not realize how much my mental health improved until I became accustomed to not visiting it regularly. Story 16. This is a positive question from Reddit. Sleeping a full 7 to 9 hours per night and being okay with slowing down and taking things one step at a time is important. The hustle culture and American workaholism are not sustainable. Story 17. Mushrooms. Yes, those kind. They have been very helpful in my healing and have been pivotal in my relationship as well, deepening our connection. Plus, they are fun. Story 18. Steering clear of people. I have a very small group of individuals I see regularly. All others I have removed from my life. People can be harmful to this planet, but while I am human, I am making conscious choices about who I share my time with. Story 19. Learning to leave work at work. When I leave the building, it is not my problem anymore until I come back. Story 20. Deleting Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Reddit is something else. I only read posts or follow communities that make me feel better. Story 21. I do not recommend it, but dimethyltryptamine. I had such a profound reaction to it that it basically cured my depression. Could have gone the other way as well. Story 22. Over the past 6 months to a year, I have focused on my car, gym membership, meditation, and embracing Coke Zero. No, Karen, I don't care that it has artificial sugar. It is better than drinking sugary soda or consuming alcohol. Story 23. I do not idolize any celebrity. I stopped caring about what people my age are doing. I do not watch or listen to any podcasts or talk shows. I do not follow fashion trends. I have reduced alcohol consumption to maybe once every other month. I focus on what makes me personally happy. I started this when I was about 20 years old, and I can confidently say I am happier and more content in life than most of my peers. The keeping up with the Joneses lifestyle is very destructive to a person's mental health. It is staggering to observe from the outside. This form of obsession with a high-standard lifestyle varies widely and can be seen in all social groups. Story 24. Cutting out alcohol. Getting up early every morning to go for a solo walk outside for personal time and exercise, and getting more sleep. Story 25. High-intensity interval training, good sleep schedule, healthy diet, minimizing exposure to annoying people, daily walks. Story 26. Before I mention it, I want to emphasize that this worked for me and it is what I needed to do. In no way would I say that everyone needs to do the same, but getting sober massively helped me. I am a recovering alcoholic, and these last 8 months have literally been the best of my life. I hope everyone can find what works for them. Story 27. Medication, support groups, and therapy. These became my pillars after a failed attempt several years ago. When I start to backslide, it is always because one or more pillars are being neglected. Story 28. Honestly, being diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and put on the right medication changed my life. I struggled with terrible depression for years, thinking I was worthless because I struggled in jobs and never had the energy to clean or felt the need to binge eat. Once I was diagnosed, it turned out a lot of those were symptoms. Now I am motivated. I am the top performer at my job. I am in the gym again, eating better, and feel like a whole new person. It only took 30 years. Story 29. Preventive migraine medication. It turns out that feeling awful 3 to 4 days a week really impacts your mental health. Story 30. Quality sleep. It was not until I was prescribed a sleep aid and woke up with an amount of energy I had never experienced before. Everything after that was much easier to handle. Story 31. Going to therapy and actually opening up. Going to the gym regularly. Giving up alcohol. Going no contact with my parents. Accepting that perfection is essentially unobtainable but still a great goal. Story 32. As a child, I loved to read, and my favorites by far were mysteries. Then I grew up and expanded to watching police procedural shows and listening to true crime podcasts. As much as I love detective stories, it took me too long to realize that my constant consumption of stories and media about people being harmed might be contributing to my ongoing anxiety about similar events. Now I mostly stick to happy books, shows, and podcasts, and enjoy stressful, spooky, graphic, or depressing content in very limited amounts. I sleep better, and my anxiety is almost completely gone. Story 33. I started making my life feel beautiful again. After a dark few years, I rebuilt everything. I started by what you would call romanticizing life, making every little thing I do excite me, make me smile, and make me happy. I romanticize the tiniest moments. String lights and candles when I bathe, edible glitter in my morning yogurt, eating food on pink plates. Sounds silly, but it has changed my life. I didn't even know happiness like this existed. I'm in my 30s now, and I genuinely feel like I'm living inside a dream I created on purpose. Story 34. I started mountain biking on single-track trails 6 to 7 years ago. Spending time in the woods and mountains multiple times a week greatly improves my mental health. Combined with the mental focus required for technical writing, it allows me to completely detach from work-related stress. Story 35. Writing has greatly improved me. Taking time daily to put words down helps a lot. I often reinterpret experiences to combine characters, reducing the number of people in the story. I rearrange events to make the narrative sensible. Remembering the difficulties I have survived is valuable, which may be the only good thing about trauma. Story 36. Meditation. I need to do much more of it because I have been feeling stress and anxiety build up lately. Story 37. Exercise. Just a few weeks in, and it's incredible how happy I am to have a body that feels okay to be in. Granted, it's been a huge time investment going from a small maintenance workout once in a while to a comprehensive full-body routine every day like I have, and it's hard. I can't deny it. It's difficult, but it works. Not only do I feel better and have more energy, I go to a place with other people, and I accomplish something physical each day. Much of my poor mental health was due to being stuck in a body that hurt to live in. I have cerebral palsy with struggles, pain, cramps, and shakes that will be with me lifelong. Yet, I feel more alive than ever after just about a month. It's an extreme, rapid, and wholly positive change. In my view, anyone who refuses to exercise simply has not enabled themselves to enjoy a healthy body. Debility was making it hard to get out of bed. Now I compulsively take several walks per day because my body knows it feels good to move. Story 38. Getting a professional state license in land surveying has been a major boost to my employment options and a significant milestone in my personal life. Story 39. Learning dialectical behavioral therapy and actively applying the philosophy and skills that I have found work. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder a couple of years ago and was told many patients lose the diagnosis later because they no longer meet the criteria. This means they get better, not necessarily cured, since some traits remain, but some can go away and the rest stop ruining your life. I still meet the criteria now, but my relationships are less chaotic. I stay clean and sober. I have had lapses with marijuana as recently as February. Although many people say marijuana is not too bad, I get carried away to the point of hallucinating and neglecting self-care. I live in a state where it is not legal and plan to return to work soon. At the end of last year, I drank a little, but nothing like before. My self-harm has significantly decreased in frequency, and I do not lose my temper over everything. My emotions are still intense and overwhelming. I still struggle with self-loathing and less obvious ways of self-abuse and sabotage, but I no longer let them take over or put me or others in danger constantly. Story 40. Staying up until 3 to 4 a.m. regularly and waking up at 10 a.m., then starting work at 10:30 a.m., staying up for a few hours after my girlfriend and kids go to sleep to watch shows or play video games has given me the ability to decompress and be less snappy with others. Story 41. Buying a house. We rented a house that we quickly outgrew. I moved to a new shop as a tattoo artist. Now, I work in a historical town instead of a questionable area. My happiness has drastically improved. Story 42. Being given a very clear image that I am not the one repeating cycles in my family. A troubled sibling who drags people down with them and still somehow ends up facing consequences while calling everyone else selfish. All while thinking not going to therapy is quirky, but it would probably extend their lifespan. The way my mother dealt with things, the way her mother dealt with them, it probably goes on. Story 43. Using a chakra mat. I got one to aid back pain and help me sleep. Did the job. I dozed off on it a few times. I also used the time to meditate using shamanic drums. I have a short chat with my spirit animal, which is mentally beneficial to me. Story 44. Small trick. When stressed, overwhelmed, depressed, or feeling unhealthy, clean and organize your house thoroughly. You will go to sleep and wake up the next day feeling much better and ready to take on whatever challenges arise. Story 45. Going no contact with my father and mentally and emotionally abusive stepmother when I was 24. I moved out at 17 and emancipated myself. Ghosted them. Then got pregnant and decided to give them a chance to be in my child's life if they could admit their wrongdoing and apologize. When I confronted them about what they put me through, they said they gave me an amazing childhood, and I was just making up everything that happened for attention. So I said, all right, you want to be toxic still and not admit fault. I've decided I'm moving out of state in 3 days to be exact. I already booked the flight. I had a feeling you wouldn't be willing to apologize and change your ways. You won't see or hear from me again. They got scared and said, but what about our grandson? Won't we see him? I am the oldest, and at the time, my 2 half-brothers were still teens. So they were excited to find out I was pregnant. I told them, no, you won't see him. I gave you a chance to be better. I don't trust you with my child after what you put me through. They even tried to get me to let them adopt him, like what? When I walked out of the house that day, the looks on their faces were priceless. Confused, sad, and my dad was mostly angry. I moved and haven't talked to them since. I am 33 now. It was the best decision I have ever made for my mental health. Later, at age 28, I was diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder from childhood trauma. We gave you an amazing childhood. Pisic. Story 46. An emotional support animal. I am currently working on adopting my own cat, but my amazing roommate lets me do simple tasks for her cat, such as brushing him, playing with him, and picking out toys. Caring for another animal, even though he is not my own, has greatly helped. Story 47. I stopped using hormonal birth control. I was on the pill from age 13 to 23. I experienced hormonal migraines and heavy periods but was not sexually active at 13. From age 17 to 23, I suffered from severe depression that developed into suicidal thoughts. I tried doctors, counselors, therapists, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and other antidepressants. A friend told me their birth control caused their depression. On a whim, I stopped using it. Life has drastically improved. Story 48. Transcranial magnetic stimulation is literally life-saving. It is the only treatment that helped my depression and obsessive-compulsive disorder. I tried several medications over the years, but none helped as much as I needed. Story 49. Accepting that it is okay not to live life at the same pace as those around me. I came from the pre-med undergraduate mentality but did not get in until my 4th attempt. Then I had to take some time off due to personal reasons. It was, and sometimes still is, hard watching everyone around me seem to achieve my dreams before me. However, realizing that everyone's path is different and that is okay helped tremendously. Story 50. Obsessive-compulsive disorder sufferer. Have had lots of therapy. Good medications like lithium and fluoxetine. Also, get your thyroid checked. It can cause depression. Story 51. Started meditating 5 minutes a day. Now, 5 months in, I have a completely new, upbeat attitude and have stopped some bad habits. I sometimes meditate for an hour now. I have connected with my higher self, found some amazing communities, love all forms of life, and find so much joy in every moment of every day. Story 52. Being by the coast and taking sunset photos most nights, I am amazed at how much calmer I feel. Just sitting and watching the waves and the sun setting, the whole experience is peaceful and calming. Story 53. Getting sober and taking medication. The sober part is obvious. The medication has really helped. Just a small dosage, but it has alleviated those moods where I would just sit staring for an hour trying to motivate myself to do something. Too many people I have known will not get past the stigma of taking medication for brain chemistry. Story 54. Accepting that some people will never apologize and choosing to forgive them anyway, not for their sake, but to free myself from the emotional prison they left me in. Holding on to resentment was draining me. Forgiveness did not erase the pain, but it gave me back control. Story 55. Taking thyroid medication. My thyroid-stimulating hormone levels were at a level that general practitioners consider normal, 3 million international units per milliliter, but my psychiatrist told me that psychiatrists consider anything over 2 million international units per milliliter to be too high, and some psychiatrists even think anything over 1 million international unit per milliliter could be a problem. I started medication, and the depressive episode one had been battling for 2 years suddenly became much more manageable. I am still not past it entirely as there are other contributing factors, but I am no longer crying almost every day. Story 56. I came to this thread hoping to read something, anything that I have not tried within reason. Unfortunately, nothing. I am actually just a broken soul that needs to be set free to fly away and fade into the air, never to be seen again. Story 57. Deciding to finally be done with my ex for good. I have so much more energy, mental clarity, and space now that I am not constantly worried and wondering about him and us. Getting rid of someone who treats you badly, cheats on you, lies to you, and overall disrespects you as a human being is good for the soul. 10 out of 10 recommend dropping them off at the cleaners and then forgetting their existence altogether. Story 58. I don't follow or stalk the social media accounts of people I don't like or want in my life anymore. I used to obsessively pore over the posts of exes, old friends, and even people I went to school with who were unkind to me. Now I don't, and it is much better not knowing. I hope they are out there living their lives and doing okay, but I don't need to know about it. Story 59. Becoming friends with people who live in a different country and who have different experiences than my own helped me break away from my patterns and thinking. Story 60. Romanticizing life and not worrying about things that already happened, especially bad things. When life gets too hard or unbearable, this is truly my escape. Romanticizing what I do. Cooking, bathing, watching movies, commuting, or even dancing to music. When it comes to not worrying, I just think that what is done, and I am putting it all behind me so it does not negatively affect my future choices. Story 61. Being able to go to a restaurant by myself was hard at first because I always thought people were watching me. But now I know nobody cares. Story 62. I have learned not to engage in arguments where I have no influence. If I cannot speak, then I should remain silent. Essentially, I keep to myself and stay quiet. I have learned that this is what I am good at. Story 63. An apartment with more windows. Surprisingly, more natural light shining in all day really helps my mood. When it rains, it is very cozy. I just love it. Story 64. Taking all vitamins. Vitamin D is very important. Staying active and being busy. Drinking enough water every day. Story 65. Deactivated Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn accounts in 2023. Decided that I do not want to know what my peers are doing or blessed with. Had enough of comparing myself with other people. My life has become calmer and I have been happier since then. Story 66. Walking to work. Riding my bicycle. reading, living alone, quitting a toxic job, prioritizing a relaxed job over a better paying stressful one, moving somewhere fun, dog, not committing to things, sleeping enough. Story 67. Listening to Jesus when he speaks is the only thing that helps. When therapy and medication failed me, food and sex failed me, Jesus talks to me. When I listen, I have peace finally. Get a Bible and read it. It is different from what I thought or even what I was taught as a child. There is peace in there, and I feel like they hid it from me. Story 68. 7th grade. My classmates started bullying me because I was not good at sports. After 2 years of struggling, I no longer attend gym class unless I want to. I believe I will never be able to do sports again because it caused me post-traumatic stress disorder. Story 69. Lamotrigine. Also consider therapy, deleting other social media, and cutting out toxic people after trying to work with them on boundaries and respect first. Next steps include reducing sugar intake and finding time to exercise. Story 70. Moving to a sunnier climate and getting diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder was monumental. Treating an issue that I did not know I had and moving somewhere that is only sunny for 1 to 2 months out of the year improved my life significantly. I have never felt better. Story 71. Reading The Artist's Way. Morning pages alone calm my mind and reduce anxiety. Just getting the negative thoughts on paper and out of my head is such a relief. Story 72. Clearly defined boundaries between work and me. I am not my profession. I am someone who performs that task during specific hours for money. When I am off the clock, that place does not exist. Story 73. Taking a new job meant losing overtime and 5% of my pay, but I work from home all day and can spend my breaks in the garden listening to the bees. More than worth it. Story 74. Going gluten-free. Get tested for celiac disease if you have any unexplained health issues. Autoimmune disorders can affect your health, including your mental health. I have not had a single panic attack since I went gluten-free. Also, walking every day. I know this because I injured my back and my mood has declined while I am not doing my evening walk. Story 75. Getting married and starting a family. Cutting out all of the alcohol, with exceptions for holidays and special occasions. Getting a dog. Story 76. COVID-19. My anxiety and depression stemmed significantly from the interactions I had with others on a regular basis. While it is my job to fix it, I did not have the means to leave my employment. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I realized how much of my symptoms were due to the people I had to encounter at work. The stress of going into the office highlighted how my anxiety and depression manifested. My symptoms improved by not having to interact with people daily. Now I have a great ability to set and maintain boundaries. COVID-19 was difficult in many other ways, but working from home where I lived alone helped a lot. Story 77. I take 4 supplements that I honestly believe make me less anxious and more balanced. Magnesium, ashwagandha, turmeric, and pentadecanoic acid. Could be a placebo effect, but I really feel like they help me so much that I am a slightly different person when taking them regularly. Also, hiking and walking in nature, as well as cutting back on drinking too much, help, but I am less consistent with these. Story 78. Getting a full range of blood tests and supplementing any deficiencies, getting sunlight, and engaging in daily exercise or moderate movement. Story 79. Yoga. I sleep better, am less stressed, and my core is much more toned than it was from only weightlifting and cardio. The flexibility has also paid its dividends in bed. 10 out of 10 recommend to everyone. Story 80. Exercising more, maintaining a regular bedtime for 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and avoiding coffee after 12 p.m. helped improve my sleep. After I turned 35, I noticed it was harder to sleep on time if I had a caffeine pick-me-up in the afternoon. For a couple of years, I also used cannabidiol oil. I was generally anxious and prone to anxiety. After consistently taking cannabidiol oil pills before bed, my anxiety went away. I no longer take them, and now I usually laugh at things that used to stress me out instead of getting nervous. I know it does not work for everyone, but I sincerely found it more effective than antidepressants. Story 81. Let's see. Therapy, the right medication through years of trial and error, getting away for a while. Unfortunately, this was voluntary inpatient care but did help in ways, and making small positive lifestyle changes. I find myself stepping back. Then I stop, distract, calm down, and reassess what happened. Work in progress but feeling much better. Story 82. Building community by trying to meet up in person. Once I am there, I rarely regret going out and it gives me an energy boost. Story 83. Working out and therapy. Also reducing caffeine intake and not stressing over things that are not worth the stress. Practicing lots of self-care as well. Story 84. Regular physical exercise is important. I started out by just walking near my apartment. I used the gym and socialized with people more. Story 85. Switching off Microsoft Outlook notifications has been about 5 years now. I check them when I am ready these days. Story 86. Meditation. I learned it when I was 4 in Taekwondo. Ending your mind assists greatly with mental well-being. Second, remember that you own your feelings. Do not give an emotional manipulator your anger just because they have a tantrum, even if it is in front of others. You decide how you feel. Be angry when you are truly angry, and do so with purpose and calm words. Do not let the situation consume you, but be intentional in your words and actions even when things seem wild and chaotic. It takes practice, but if you deal with difficult people regularly, removing their ability to control your behavior is empowering and uplifting. Once you learn to expect their behavior, you can laugh at how ridiculous it is and calmly explain that to the abuser. Story 87. This might be a simple answer, but taking up golf while I was getting sober and going through a difficult breakup changed me significantly. It gave me something healthy to engage with mentally, physically, and socially. I used to bury my problems in drugs, alcohol, and casual relationships. Now, if I am having a tough day, I book a tea time and enjoy 4 hours of peace outdoors. Story 88. Gratitude and contentment. I reflected on what I had and where I was in life and decided it was good. The things I was striving for were nice but not critical. It feels like saying you are content is weak when you should be ambitious and on the move. I am content. Believing this has lifted much mental burden and allowed me to enjoy my life as it is. Story 89. I stopped comparing myself to others. I stopped caring about what others earn in my company and started focusing on my own worth at work. I also stopped working after hours and overtime. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.